following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down, handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Here are Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus, Rob Phillips, and Bill Jones.
Without further delay, this is Talking Cowboys for a Tuesday, November 13th, 2018. After a win over the Eagles on Sunday night, we start looking ahead to the birds of a different feather, the Falcons, on Sunday. Bill Jones, Mickey Spagnola, Rob Phillips, Brian Broaddus, Ken Garrison doing yeoman duty as we had a little bit of a power outage to get things going here. And we're still fighting through some of it, as you could hear there. But we are on the air with Talking Cowboys. And you've missed the first half hour of the show where we were talking everything but Cowboys the last 40 minutes.
Every sport in North America.
That's right.
Yeah.
You could have started the show off, and we'll be joining Mickey, Rob, and Brian in a moment.
Yeah. It's the second week in a row you've used that.
That's right.
Yeah. It worked last week. So, Mickey, I
tried it again.
I appreciate you using it again this week.
Brian is a superstitious man.
I am.
Yes.
Very.
Yes. All right, so here we are, and Jerry Jones was on the radio this morning, and we'll get into some of the things that he talked about this morning. But the Cowboys the players, I didn't even hear, are they back at it today, or they've given an extra day off? Normal schedule?
Normal Tuesday.
Normal schedule.
Yeah,
Come in late.
Practice
Come in late.
outside tomorrow.
We got an availability in the locker room this afternoon?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so it's a normal
Nothing
schedule
normal
this
for
week.
them yesterday, though.
That's right. I mean, they you landed at what time? 4:30 in the morning.
It was about 4:15, 4:30.
And then they were at the Salvation Army Social Service Centers in Dallas and Fort Worth by 11 a.m. probably to serve Thanksgiving dinner. So
They might have just pulled all-nighters.
that's right.
They're young enough to do that.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Plus, they sleep on the plane.
Do they?
Yeah. There was a lot of
It was
sleeping.
pretty quiet going home.
There was a lot of sleeping going on behind
It was quiet.
Okay.
This one was quiet.
Ships have changed since I've been on them.
There was only about 4 people working, and 2 of them are in here.
Yeah. Means Bill and I weren't working.
That's right. We weren't working.
Yeah.
William and Nick.
Yeah. Hellman.
Sorry, he was next to me, although he did fall asleep finally.
Yeah.
All right. We are wide awake and getting at it right
Yes.
now. And did you all hear Jerry Jones on the radio this morning? Any of you hear Jerry Jones on the radio
I heard
this
the
morning?
most. I think I missed the first 5 minutes.
All right. What was your big takeaway from that?
He didn't read comic books.
That's right. Asked him about the passing of Stan Lee.
And it's Stan Lee, right?
Yes, that's right. And that was the last question. Anything else?
I think the thing that the report about over the weekend with the changing of the offensive coordinator.
That's where I thought we should go.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry
Yeah.
to disappoint you.
He was waiting on you, Bill. He was waiting on you.
I was going to see if Mickey was going to answer the question, but yeah, he did. The thing I think that to me, Jason Garrett was on earlier in the morning with the same guys, and they asked him, and he said, absolutely none, no truth, and then left it at that. And then I think the owner, general manager, came back and gave it a little bit more depth to it, and also, I think that's. I think that we've all been pretty clear on this show that we don't see a coaching change. You're going to ride this thing out and see what you get. And had a nice win the other day, and at the end of the year, you add them up and see if you were good enough. I think there's no reason to make any type. I mean, now they changed the offensive line coaches, and I do want to ask you guys a question about that coming up. But yeah, I think that you have to, you just stay the course with what you got and see where it takes you, and then make the decision from there.
I thought Steven was even more emphatic about it yesterday.
Yeah.
When he was on in the late morning, early afternoon show.
He said if the only people who would know about something like that would be in the room discussing those kind of things, and we had no discussion about it. So nobody else outside our room would know. So it is what it is. And, yeah, Jerry has said it recently. There will be no in-season coaching moves. Like Brian said, they're they've made some bye week changes in personnel and with a position coach up front, offensive line, and what they did the other day is what they're hoping they can do the rest of the season to try to make a run here, and they're going to have to.
Here was his exact quote. I don't know where that came from. We didn't consider that at all.
Yeah.
I will say this. I've said it before, and I know Mickey will echo it. Be wary of the Sunday morning reports on things going on NFL campuses, because these reporters, they are under pressure to have something fresh on Sunday mornings for their NFL pregame shows, and so they've got to come up with something. And so that you would agree with that, Mickey, right?
Especially Mr. 50-50.
Well, everybody's got a job to do,
Right.
Sometimes, it's not fresh, though, because they're not day-to-day into it. I think there was a report.
Well, they have to save it for Sunday morning.
Yeah. I mean, there was one that, the Cowboys, Garrett had discussed with Nick Saban about Amari Cooper. Well, we kind of talked about that during the week. But you're right, because it's a 7-day cycle before they got to. You're right, they got to deliver something big on Sunday.
And if it truly was news, if they truly did have a story there, they wouldn't wait till Sunday morning to report it. They report it whenever they had the news, which on Thursday or whatever day of the week it was. Yep. And so, it's all speculation, is all it is.
Yeah, I could say you knew that they were going to stay the course as far as the head coach and the coordinator. Now, the head coach did leave open the opportunity of him potentially calling plays.
Last Tuesday.
He did leave that open, the way his comments. That's something that wasn't made up. So if you want to go off that.
Right, exactly.
That's fair.
And that's what led us to talk about it on Friday, the possibility, because Jason Garrett was asked about it last Tuesday at his press conference. And how did he phrase it for now?
Right now.
Right now.
He said, right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah. That's not going to happen right now.
You could take that as a qualifier.
But you know what? I'll guarantee you on the headset, he's changing things. He's making suggestions.
That's what I should have asked him in the walk-off yesterday, and I was kicking myself leaving was there more conversation between you and Scott other than get a play ready for fourth down? Mm-hmm. Coaches will click over and say, hey, I'm thinking about this right now on fourth down. Have something ready. Just to kind of give the play caller an idea of what he's thinking. So, that you don't get caught. We have to burn a timeout or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if there was a little bit more discussion than the normal, hey, Scott, what do you got? And he can hear the plays. And, you would think that, maybe he says, hey, go back to your run here. Go back to your try and get Coop involved here a little bit more. Maybe was there more? And I'm kind of kicking myself for not asking that question.
But don't you think that's kind of standard procedure when you get in those situations?
I think there's a lot of times where we see Jason Garrett on the sidelines and he's very intent on listening to what's going on. And he appeared, and again, my advantage is getting to sit there and watch the game in a studio. And it appeared he was a little bit more animated, and I don't mean animated waving his hands, but a little bit more conversational in this game than he normally was.
But I don't mean that just for him. I mean for regular head coaches that tell your offensive coordinator, okay, you've got 2 plays to pick this up.
That's what I'm saying. I wanted to ask the question, was there more discussion about play calling as opposed to you're generally what you're saying about, hey, I'm thinking about going on fourth down here?
Are you a little bit more involved?
Are you a little bit more involved?
Not that you got the sheet in your hand, but
I missed an opportunity right there to ask that question. I
think for the last 3 or 4 games, he's been more involved.
Yeah, and I don't know that.
And excuse me, can I follow up, Mickey?
Yeah.
In what way? In what way?
In either making suggestions or saying, hey, let's go with this.
Yeah.
I just think, he's the head coach. Why not? That guy's got your job in his hands. And I think you got to have some sort of communication, especially sometimes when you're up there and I'm down here.
Right.
I got a better feel maybe of what's going on.
Exactly.
You see better up there, but sometimes you don't get the feel of what's going on the
players,
field.
You can look in the players' eyes. You look in the players' eyes and see if they got it or not.
I know Jimmy used to do that routinely with Norv Turner. He would tell Norv, you got 2 plays to pick this up.
Yeah.
Pick it up. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, if you're in, and that would be a great question, Brian, but if you're in Jason Garrett's position, knowing there's speculation out there about it, you're coming off a good game. If you answer that question, I was more involved, then it makes it look like that you were the reason that there was more positive, and so.
I guess.
Even if it is off the record.
Right.
If I was a fan if I was a fan, we cover this team, but if I was a fan, I after what I've seen, and I trust me, I respect Scott Linehan, but I would have wanted Jason after what I saw in Tennessee. I would have wanted Jason Garrett to start calling plays. I would. I think Jason Garrett is a very capable play caller. I really, really do, and I think he could get. I think he could get more guys involved. But Scott did a nice job in the game. Now whether Jason was directing him a little bit more or kind of talking to him a little bit more, I don't know. But I do know that the offense, the way that it ran the other night, and I don't think it was just as simple as put Suafilo in there at left guard. I think the addition the front office made with Amari Cooper has played huge dividends here. The offense appears to have that. We had a caller yesterday talk about a little bit more juice, little bit more juice with the offense. So, but if they had a bad game in Philadelphia on Sunday night, I would have been one of the first ones coming in here Monday morning saying Jason Garrett needs to call the plays. That would have been me.
Looking at that Cooper trade now, and when you look at what's going on around the league with the points being scored in this league, you look back at that was a move that had to be made. And it's not just – and I'm not talking about just for this year, but going forward. I think we're looking at this year what the NFL is going to be like, not only this year, but next year and on down the road, where the emphasis on scoring points in this league. And it's always kind of been like that, but it's gone. It's almost like it's on steroids now, where you're getting teams scoring over 50 points in games and stuff. Yeah. Where you had to improve that aspect of this team.
Well, they're not letting you smash receivers over the middle, and they're not letting you hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're encouraging you to score points and find ways to score points. They're making it very difficult for defenses, as we all know. But the violent aspect of playing defense now is no longer prevalent in the way these games are being played.
The rules are, yes, designed more now to help the passing game and let that be your first priority as an offense. The Cowboys have done it a little differently. And again, it did bear itself out to some degree in this last game. When they run the ball with Zeke and run it effectively, they usually win the football game. I think they're 13-3 when he gets 100 yards plus, but they also got some chunk plays in the passing game the other night, and that was something that's been missing. And you mentioned Amari Cooper, and that's been a big factor there. The other thing it's done with his presence is they finally pared down this rotation at receiver a little bit. They've got their guys. Hearns is being effective, but in fewer snaps. It's largely been Cooper, Gallup, and Beasley.
It should be.
Instead of 5-6 guys early in the season when they were trying to figure it out.
So and Gallup was trying to figure it out too. And so you would have expected at the beginning of the season that Gallup is going to be better the second half of the year, just because him simply being a rookie. Yes, Mickey?
I was going to say before I thought of this, that can we bury this notion that defense wins championships?
You've been saying that for how long?
15 years. Gallup, 57 of 69 snaps in the game. He had the most of any of the wide receivers.
I think he's had the most cumulatively for 3 weeks now or so, 3 or 4 games.
Well, that's the way it should be.
I mean, now that Cooper's here, that's going to probably change. But, yeah, he's coming on. He seems more confident.
And Cooper, for a new guy, has had 111 of 128 snaps in 2 games.
So it should be.
Yeah.
Well, they clearly they misevaluated the whole thing. I think the misevaluation started with they believed that they could run the ball no matter what. No, and then the injury or the illness to the center robbed them of that opportunity. The regression of the right tackle robbed them of that. And they've played some good opponents. I think Mickey's been very adamant about that and pointing that out. I think that you have, played against some good defenses that have limited what you can do. But they're trying to make it right. And I think through 2 games, I think we would all say that at least with Amari Cooper, in the game, it gives them a chance. I mean, third downs of, at least now it's not just so much we'll get. They're actually converting that 3rd and 15 call. Oh, it was a great call. You got Michael Gallup in the game, and you're throwing it to the short side of the field, and it shouldn't work, but it did work. And, those are the types of plays you need to have. Man, you can't go out there and convert a bunch of 3rd and 15s, but at least with this team, you feel like they got a chance.
Felt like early in the season, if they were
If
third and 10 or more,
they were dead.
Yeah.
They were dead.
I thought they were going to call a screen pass.
Yeah. That was kind of the answer. It was like, okay, we just got a sack. It's 3rd and 18. Let's throw the screen. We'll get 8 yards and we'll punt.
And then
Now you have
back.
the capability of getting the ball in some playmakers' hands. You have get the ball in Gallup's hands, get the ball in Amari Cooper's hands. Allen Hurns, God bless him, man. I said it yesterday. He could have just, sulked and said, okay, I'm not going to play anymore. I'm just going to keep getting my check every Tuesday and not. But he gets 2 or 3 plays a game and he makes good of them. He makes he's a good route runner. He's not fast, he's not quick, but he's reliable. And I think that's really the most important thing. This quarterback needs reliable players, and it looks like to me he's got some reliable players. Now at wide receiver with the way this thing has been pared down.
I think Steven said it best yesterday when he said they were really suffocating the line of scrimmage on us before Cooper got here. And he's right.
Yeah.
And I think you saw a huge difference, not only in his play, but how it's affected everything else.
It's not often that so far you've watched Cooper and he doesn't win on his route. I mean, he is open a lot. And that makes a big difference because it's not only for him, it's what defenses have to do to maybe account for that. And all of a sudden, guys have opportunities that maybe they didn't have early in the season.
Well, I think I said it yesterday, but if he's going downfield on that 9 route and it's a tie, he's open because he's going to put it in that extra gear.
It's a shame they missed him.
And that's what happened on that one. The ball got up in the air, and then all of a sudden he pulled away from the guy.
That's a shame. Because you can't see. There's so much talk about this quarterback's inaccuracy, and he can't do this and can't do it. You hit a few of those plays, people are like going, well. No, he threw a good deep ball the other day. He threw, that pass he threw to Hurns was right before the end of the half was a good pass. The pass he threw to Beasley to get 18 yards after the screen was a good pass. This guy's capable, but when he misses those open routes, then that's when you start to say, and we all kind of collectively jump on him about, he's not doing this and not doing that. If he hits just a few more of those, I think people would kind of say, okay, I see it now. I get what's going on here. So, I'd like to see him hit a few more of those, and especially with the way that guy can get open. I mean, we see it. He just separates. He's just a different player out there.
But I think he's got to get used to that because I think in his mind was if I underthrow this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
So let me get it out there.
Oh, you would much rather him overthrow a ball and hope like hell that Gallup and Cooper and those guys can run those down. But, man, I mean, that open – Douglas, the cornerback was waving his arms like incomplete and like, bro, you were burned so badly.
I know. Why are you celebrating?
Why are you celebrating? You ought to be like palms up to the heavens.
That was relief.
Yeah.
So,
that was scared reaction is what that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking back through the play-by-play of Sunday night's game, and Brian, you were big hitting on the fact that they didn't take advantage of their opportunities in the first half.
I thought they could have crushed these guys.
Exactly, and I agree with that. However, when you look at the second half of that game, and especially when you put it in the context of what happened the week before with this team against Tennessee, where in the third quarter Tennessee took control of that game and Dallas basically whimpered and went home,
Right.
And when you look at the third quarter of this game, Dallas had a 3-and-out to start the third quarter. Eagles come down, they kick a field goal. They had a 13-3 lead. Okay, right. Eagles kick a field goal on their first drive. Now it's 13-6. Then you have a missed field goal after the long Zeke runs.
Right.
All right, so there's some more unforced adversity.
Right.
Okay. Eagles come down. They put together a 68-yard drive and tie the game up at 13. So now with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, this game is getting away from you.
Right.
Okay. And what do they do at that point? They use Zeke on 7 of 9 plays on a touchdown drive of 75 yards and take control of the game again at 20-13. I mean, there was a couple of passes to Zeke, including it started with a pass to Zeke, it ended with a pass to Zeke, and there were 5 Zeke runs in the middle of that 9-play drive. And that's what they had not done in the second half of games previously that they lost.
Is this where we're seeing the influence of Mark Colombo a little bit as a line coach? maybe at, the Tennessee game, you're thinking, okay, this is new, new opportunity for him. But, now the second weekend, is this where we're seeing a little bit more toughness and
physical,
a little bit
aggressive
physicality?
Up front. Yeah.
Dak and Zeke after the game mentioned the offensive line coach.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever heard that before. You say, oh, the offensive line picked it up.
Right.
But they specifically mentioned Colombo as there was a difference out there. So,
And oh, by the way, after the Cowboys take that 20-13 lead, the Eagles come back down again and score in a 74-yard, 7-play drive. So they scored on their first 3 possessions of the second half. So now you're tied up again, and now you got to do it again, and they did it again to take the lead. Mm-hmm. And then you finally had the drive where Van Der Esch and Heath made the plays critical on 3rd and 4th down.
Yeah, they needed a couple plays,
right,
and they sure got them. They sure got them right there.
And that last one was throwing the football.
Right.
That last touchdown drive, right?
Well, they had, you're talking Dallas's drive.
Yes.
Well, they started throwing the football, and then they ended it with Zeke. Of course, they got down on the goal line, and then they handed it to Zeke, which is in contrast to what the offensive coordinator has done at times in the past when you got 1st and goal at the 2-yard line, Seattle last year, and you don't hand it to Zeke.
Wasn't there earlier in the game, too? He didn't get it down there close? Am I wrong about that? Zeke. He didn't touch the ball around.
Well, Dak had a quarterback sneak when they got down at the end of the half.
Yeah. What am I thinking of? I'll think about it.
Might have been the touchdown last week to
I was
the previous week.
I was hopeful that they would just keep handing to the Zeke, and if he was getting stopped but getting closer, I was okay with that because I kept seeing the clock run. I was like, okay, keep running. And I was trying. I started to realize the condition of my defense wasn't very good, but they ended up making a stop. But yeah, I was worried at the end of that football game. I didn't want to send those guys back out there with a lot of time, to have to deal with there.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of after the Zeke hurdle play, they get down to the 8,
right,
and Zeke doesn't touch it again,
right,
and they wind up kicking a field goal.
Dak +4, Dak +0, sack.
Yeah.
Well, because they were trying to throw it.
He might have needed a breather too.
I'm tired of that breather stuff too. By the way,
Okay.
He doesn't need a breather.
Okay.
But no, right after the run, the play was hardly over, and they're sending Smith in.
Yeah, is that okay? I'm just talking about the eye test, guys. Is he in good condition? Am I asking a question that's in week 10 that I shouldn't be asking, or does he look like he's physically?
He didn't tap out.
Yeah,
I saw it I saw it in the replay, and they had Smith coming in right away before they even got close to the huddle.
Yeah,
A lot of fans were asking about that on Twitter during the game.
Burst.
There was a
Burst.
I mean, he did hurdle that guy. That was pretty impressive. The 30 that wasn't even his longest run. He had the 35-yard run, which I thought he was going to take it to the house, and he didn't quite do it.
I couldn't tell they had the end zone camera.
Once again,
God, what was up with that?
Yeah, you were still upset.
So
with
what do you think of that?
I was screaming I go, stop.
I'm the same way.
And then Taylor's like, Brian, shut up. I was screaming it, and they were trying to tell me it's the video game look, and I don't like I don't mind watching games and stuff, end zone stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't like
after the play, not live action.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose perspective on where he is on the field running, and of course I tweet something out about it a couple of times, and
You got killed, I bet.
no.
Oh, people agreed with you.
No, it was a 99-1 agreeing with me, and then the one guy is, oh no, you can watch it much better that way. Well, yeah, I got no problem on coach's film.
Yeah.
I'd love watching the end zone angle on a replay.
Yeah.
But not live action. And it's a promotional gimmick that NBC's doing on Sunday Night Football, and it's ridiculous.
With Zeke, I mean, it's hard to argue with the way he played in the game. I mean, he was fantastic. That's maybe his best game of the season, other than the Detroit game. He did have that stuff, the knee and the ankle, mid-season. He's not on the injury report anymore.
Well, he lines up and plays. There's
yeah,
no question.
I mean, you think something might be still bothering him a little bit?
I don't know, and I'd like to find out, because there's a couple of runs there that I thought that Zeke's going to finish this thing.
You talking about the 35-yarder?
Yeah, I'm thinking, man, he turns the corner and he goes, and generally nobody catches him, and we saw it on the screen the other day that he had a good run. He finished a run there, and I just kind of I was thinking, once he gets in the open field, I've always believed that he has a chance to finish the run. And then there was a couple of times there where I'm like, oh, and hey, he lost his balance when he jumped over the guy. That was unfortunate, because I thought he was going to finish that run. But
the one on the sideline, he ran out of space, right?
He was trying to turn the corner, and then all of a sudden he started veering out of bounds, and that's when they caused a fumble. Matter of fact, Jenkins poked the ball out of his hand.
Right.
So they gave him a fumble on that play, but he, man, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, because I just, every time I've ever seen him get in space, I've seen him just run away from people, and I wonder if, like you said, Rob, is it physical, or is there something else going on here?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm making too much out of something.
He ran for 151 yards.
Yeah, I know.
He absolutely did, Mickey, but he probably could have had 250 yards.
The bar is pretty high for him, It's like, could he have done a little bit more?
Yeah, because he had another 36 in the passing game, so he wound up with 187.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of Halloween 25 years ago in Emmitt Smith when he ran for 237 yards against the Eagles. And he did not have any catches that. I looked it up. And so he was on a pace to do that. Had they given him the football in the last drive of the game, by the way, the last possession, with getting the ball back, with 1:09 left.
Well, they got face masked.
Yeah, they did get face masked, but I do not agree with that play call.
No, there was not a flag.
It was running outside. What you're risking there is a holding call that's going to set you back 10 yards, and you have no chance of getting a first down. Exactly, Detroit. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And then it was a pass to Beasley, and then Dak, whatever. But if you just run Zeke between the tackles, try to get the first down and end the game.
Yeah.
But if you're running sideways,
we said that on the sideline. Like, they've got their timeouts, but can they stop Zeke from getting a first down and basically
if you
nullifying
get a first
that?
down, then the game's over.
Yeah, well, the officials clearly helped. If you go back and watch the play, Zeke gets face mask. John Perry and his crew just don't call it.
Right.
And, that's okay. Now that's a 15-yard penalty forward, and then now they're having to deal with a new set of downs, a fresh set of downs.
And they're not going to be
able to get the ball back.
Right.
So, and that's the way it is. These games, but
how many penalties did the Eagles get called for?
Well, Mickey, we know the question. We know the answer to that.
I just thought I'd bring that up.
No, we know the answer to that.
I guess we're taking breaks here on this abbreviated edition of Talking Cowboys, and we will continue in just a moment and take a look around the league as well when we come back.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in one lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine being shipwrecked on a desert island, alone. Glass-like curls of surf pound the shore with Dr. Pepper-colored waves. Surrounded by desire, but you can't drink it because it's the ocean. Fish live in there. The only thing you want is Dr. Pepper, and you can't have it.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Tommy John gives you that feeling of freedom, where it counts, with a contour pouch that nestles the boys. With over 3 million pairs sold, we've put in the hustle to make sure you're nestled. Shop exclusive Cowboys underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys.
Very good, Rob. Mickey wants me to read this. Ever dreamed of becoming a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader? Now's your chance. Prep classes taught by master instructors
Brian
and
brought us.
DCC group leaders will introduce you to the choreography and techniques taught to the Dallas Cowboys cheerleader squad. Sign up for a prep class now at dallascowboys.com/cheerleaders.
And if you get close enough to making the team, you get media training too.
And you also get Mickey judging whether you make the team.
That's
or not,
right.
right?
Something's
You
off
get to
about that.
meet Mickey Spagnola.
That right there would turn me off.
Despite that, still try out for
How
the
long
Dallas
you-
Cowboys cheerleaders.
How long you been doing that?
Judging?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been long enough not
Come
to
on,
remember
you know.
It's been long enough to remember not how long.
What year?
No, I have no idea.
1993. What year? Just go ahead and say it.
It might have been 10 years.
Just 10 years?
Just 10 years?
Yeah. When I started going on the trips to do the show.
How were those trips?
Long and tiring. You know
Starting
what time
early?
when they start in the morning?
No, I don't. I've never been on
5
one.
o'clock.
I've
Really?
done 3 of them, and it's not the worst thing in the world. He's underselling it. It's fine. You're in paradise for a week. It's okay.
I just said it was long and tiring. I didn't say
Those were
say-
negative adjectives.
Oh, okay. It's wonderful, Bill.
So, what work are you doing there?
You're watching the photo shoots.
You're watching cheerleaders' photo shoots.
And you got to do interviews.
Oh, you have to.
You
do
got to. So
Well, how
hard.
would you do a show without interviews?
Well,
So
yeah.
is that Natique swimsuit? Is it one of your favorites? Or?
And that's the hard part. Ask Rob, because you can do it that way, and it's the most boring thing in the world.
Right.
But if you're on top of your game, you find something out interesting about the ladies that is more than just putting a bathing suit on.
Mickey, remember when I asked the cheerleader, those two girls, I asked them if they've ever cheered Mad?
Cheered Mad, yeah.
Did you ask him that?
Yeah,
Mickey,
because he covers the team Mad.
Yeah,
See,
yeah. Mickey and I were doing interviews with the cheerleaders.
We were doing media training.
Media training.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it was like 6 hours of work. Mickey and I were doing it. I think we were on for 30 seconds. That CMT thing.
so we didn't do it for the fame.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
But I got a
That's
boot. I got a signed cheerleader boot out of the deal. It's one of the most interesting things.
I've got 2 of them
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, so you got a pair.
And so, where do you have this?
Your office.
Your boots.
In my closet.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out a spot to put
Yeah,
it yet.
put them in the office. But anyway, no, I asked the cheerleader, I go, do you ever cheer Mad? You know, like, do you ever get like fired up to where and she's like, the one girl goes, no, you got to smile and you got to be, and I'm like, but you never like, it's like, it's the Eagles. And you never, you're never cheering like, and she's like, no, not really, And so
You asked
Mickey-
the wrong person. You remember who cheered Mad?
Who cheered Mad?
Sonny.
That's what I'm saying. See,
She was the biggest Cowboy
Oh, yeah,
fan
that's what I'm
ever
saying.
growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she would tell us, I got to have that forced smile when
Yeah.
things are going
Yeah.
well. And,
All right.
and know this too, she's got 3 kids now, 2 kids. They still have the cuss cup when they watch the game.
Oh.
Like when you cuss,
That's good.
Yeah.
Put
throw
money in.
money in
money.
the bucket. Yeah.
The kids do?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, about to say.
Yeah, the kids.
I didn't know where
She's
that was
training them well, Bill.
All right, let's go to Dave in California. You're up on Talking Cowboys. Hello, Dave.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Great.
It was a fun game, wasn't it?
It was.
Been watching tape on Atlanta, and I don't know if you guys have done that yet, but gosh, we don't match up well. They're so strong on both sides of the line, and their skill players are good, but they just don't tackle well, and the receivers are dropping balls, and it keeps the other teams in the game. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I just don't think we can go down there and overcome a turnover or a bad special teams play. We don't have the talent. We don't match up well enough to overcome that down there. I also watched Washington since their offensive line got beat up, and they're not the same team. They're struggling. Their quarterback isn't comfortable back there, and I don't think that's the team we're going to race with. I think we're going to be in a race with Philly to win this division. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And you guys are talking about Sunday morning reporting and how much pressure they're under to get in a story. Gosh, don't justify that. We don't need lazy reporting the way this nation's going right now. Let's hold them accountable, too. All right, guys, thanks.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Last part was the best thing he said.
Atlanta, of course, Atlanta had injury issues on defense the early part of the season. Yep. They have gotten the linebacker back, haven't they?
I haven't watched their defense. I've watched their offense. I've started on their offense, and I've actually
Jones.
Yeah, he's really a good player, and I have a better feel for what they're doing offensively. He's right about them dropping some footballs. They're going to get a lot of guys involved, though. When you talk about Jones and Sanu, Ridley, of course. I mean, they threw a ball at his kid Hall, number 17, and
Marvin Hall.
Yeah, and he dropped it. So yeah, they've got offensive
tight end Hooper.
The Hooper's a big player for them. Play 12 personnel stuff. Matt Ryan throwing the ball a lot on the move. By design, not him having to move around a bunch. But they're a big play action team. You're going to have to be ready for a lot of fakes. That way, you're going to have to be ready for guys that, a lot of boots, waggles, nakeds, things like that. That's kind of what their offense is. Tevin Coleman is a kind of an all-around back. His ability to catch, to run, I think, is really good. And then they're using Ito Smith as well. And Ito Smith is a guy they'll throw the football to. So just my first little indication, I'm watching the Washington game. I just started. Matter of fact, I just got done with the Cleveland game. So we'll see some more. But it looks like things are pretty much intact for them offensively when it comes to the line and stuff like that. I do think you're going to have to deal with a lot of receivers. And, like you say, if they continue to drop the football, well, then that'll help you in that regard.
He's right about Washington. I know that's the next game after Atlanta, but their injuries up front have affected them. And they, they had something to do with it, but they were fortunate that Tampa Bay gave the ball away as much as they did in that game with 500-plus yards of total offense, whatever the Bucs had in that game.
How do you have 500 yards
with
offense
3 points?
3 points.
Yeah. Crazy. Has that ever happened? I wonder, or at least not in a long time.
Now, what happened to Atlanta in Cleveland?
Baker Mayfield happened.
Yeah.
He felt dangerous. He woke up that morning just feeling dangerous.
So their defense didn't play very well?
The Atlanta's? I didn't see I haven't watched Atlanta's defense yet, so I can't tell you. I didn't watch the game. I know their offense, though, that Cleveland did a pretty good job of hanging in there with them. Didn't allow them to but the caller's right. I mean, the drops are something you would not think that Atlanta, the way they are with the receivers, that they would drop the ball as much as they have. But it's clear. I mean, they have guys that are open. I mean, wide open. That are dropping the football. So that's if hopefully that trend will carry on for them in this week.
Nick Chubb for Cleveland ran for 176 yards on 20 carries and a touchdown. He also had 3 catches, 33 yards and a touchdown. Mayfield was 17 out of 20 for 216 yards, so 10 yards per attempt.
I know coming into this game that they've had 6 straight games where they've given up 3 touchdown passes in the game. I think that's
Atlanta.
Atlanta has. I think they're on a bad run that way, but they've clearly struggled. I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening with them as far as their defensive front and all that. Vic Beasley and those guys, Grady Jarrett. I mean, those are a couple pretty good players. I wonder if their play has fallen off that much. So we'll see.
And we'll
as long as Adrian Claiborne's not there.
He's not there.
He's on the Pats.
Yep, New England Patriot now. When you look at where the Cowboys were last year going to Atlanta, and that was part of the series of 3 straight games where the season got away from the Cowboys last year. There was a horrible stretch of 3 games. Of course, Zeke had just started his suspension. Cowboys were 5-3 going into that
Heck
stretch.
Of a game. They beat Kansas City in a pretty complete game going that way.
And had a couple of, they had San Francisco and Washington prior to the Kansas City, but Kansas City, which was
big win.
Yeah.
Quality win. Yeah.
Right. And then Zeke gets suspended and
Tyron Smith goes down.
Yep. And
Sean Lee goes down.
So now you're at a point that going in this year to Atlanta, virtually the same part of the season, you're going in at 4-5, And you have an opportunity to do the opposite of what happened last year. I mean, you're coming off a big win against Philadelphia, just like you're coming off a big win against Kansas City last year. And now let's see what they can do. They go there.
No, I'm interested because, if Cleveland was able to run the ball as successfully as they were, I think as a Cowboy fan, and again, I'm looking forward to seeing that game. I think you have to be excited about that. But if they're giving up stuff in the pass, and and Marcus Trufant and Robert Alford and those guys aren't covering very well, I'll take my chances with Amari Cooper and those guys throwing the ball and see how it plays out. If you could get some good balance, evidently Cleveland beat him with some pretty good balance. I know offensively, with the run pass ratio and the stuff that they were. 17 of 20 is what you said. For Baker Mayfield?
Yep. For 216 yards. Yeah. That's 10 yards an attempt.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. So we'll see. And they Atlanta is, but they're a team like you. They're very desperate. They're 4-5 too, and they're trying to figure out, if they what direction. I don't know if I don't know if they can catch Carolina.
Whether they 2 games behind them?
2 games behind Carolina right now. So, and I think they played them already one time. Am I right about that?
I believe you're right.
Yes.
Yeah. So. That's let's see if they can make that ground up. But they're very similar to the Cowboys as far as they've had some struggle. It looks like their struggles appear to be more on defense, and the Cowboys' struggles have been on offense. So we'll see.
I'll be interested to see how they play the defense, because I think the Cowboys were expecting Philadelphia, and they did it, I thought, quite a bit, single safety high type stuff.
Yeah.
And then as it moved along, they started putting that other safety back there.
Well, they got banged up. They didn't have enough guys
because they had all their corners. So I guess they got conservative and say, okay, let's give these guys help.
They had to play zone.
But they were playing a lot of single safety high, and when you're lining up, and you can see it faster when you're there than on television. And it's like, oh, Cooper's in single coverage here. Let's go. You know, you can almost call it.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what Atlanta does.
What do you think? Do we take a break? Or how long are we going to go on this edition of Talking Cowboys? You want to take it to the top of the
11:15 or something like that?
Okay, we'll take it to 11:15. So we'll take a break here, and we will come back with more of Talking Cowboys in just a moment.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for a little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
It's time for Tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
The OtterBox that builds those crazy protective phone cases?
Yup. And now they're changing the side dish game with the OtterBox Trooper Soft Cooler. Lightweight, mobile, and leak-proof, Trooper is perfect for blitzing a crowded parking lot with a Frito pie.
Amazing. Hey, you think I could fit my 7-layer salmon salad into the Trooper cooler?
Yup, but please don't.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Learn more about the Trooper soft coolers at OtterBox.com.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
Essilor has been helping Cowboys fans see better since 1972 so they don't miss a moment on the field. Get glasses with Essilor's best vision, clarity, and protection with the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package. 3 innovative technologies in one lens. For a limited time, you can double your lenses for free when you purchase the Essilor Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of frames. Find a participating eye care professional and details by visiting EssilorUSA.com. That's EssilorUSA.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use, and I bet Amari Cooper is already using. Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Get your Jack Black Playmaker 4 JB phase plus a full-size lip balm for just $10, and that's free shipping, by the way, at getjackblack.com. Use the code Cowboys.
Why Amari Cooper?
Yeah,
and nobody else?
why did
He's
you...
new. He didn't know about Jack Black. Stay with me.
Okay.
Mind like a steel trap over there.
That's right. I wondered the same thing. I know he's trying to personalize it, Ed, but I didn't understand why Amari Cooper. Okay, very good.
Seemed pretty natural to me if it came into my little brain.
Big 12 Championship returns to AT&T Stadium on December 1st. Be there when the top 2 football teams in the Big 12 Conference face off for the second straight week, Oklahoma versus West Virginia, to become the conference champion. Get your tickets now at SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. Actually, Texas has a real good shot being in that game.
Who's Oklahoma got left?
They got Kansas, and then they play at West Virginia, and that is a likely loss for the Sooners.
Okay, so that means if
Texas wins out, then Texas would be playing West Virginia in the championship game.
But they have a bye going into that game.
Who does?
Oklahoma.
No, they don't.
They play West Virginia.
They play West Virginia.
No, I said into the West Virginia game out there.
Since they play Kansas. That's Mizzou talk there. Yeah.
You guys stay with me. Come on.
We're in overtime right now.
Tell you what, the Texas has an issue. Texas has an issue this week because Iowa State comes to Austin, and Iowa State's got a good football team.
Yeah.
They can
and getting better.
Yes, they are as the season
progresses. There's a college coach that might be a pro coach one day.
Matt Campbell. And Iowa State, by the way, has an opportunity. They could actually somehow
Where'd he come from?
He
Toledo.
was at Toledo.
Yeah, Bowling Green, Toledo, everywhere he's been, he's won.
That
paid
Toledo pipeline.
Paid his dues.
He did pay his dues.
That's right. All right. Cowboys Falcons last year. I was just looking at the stats from last year's game.
Besides 8 sacks.
Who was playing in the game for the Cowboys? Of course, Zeke was out. Alfred Morris was your primary running back. Darren McFadden got a carry in the game, and Rod Smith got 3 carries in the game. Morris was 11 for 53 yards. Your receivers, you had Witten, 7 for 59. Dez, 4 for 39. Rod Smith, Cole Beasley. Bryce Butler, 1 for 30. And Terrence Williams, 1 for 9. So there were a lot of, and Keith Smith also had a catch. So there were a lot of your weapons that are either no longer on the team or on injured reserve right now.
No catches by Noah Brown?
Nothing by Noah Brown. No penalties for Noah Brown either. And so anyway, it's a different Cowboy team going in there this year than what it was last year.
Yeah.
I think you have to, after what you guys said, and I'm looking forward to watching the Cleveland game. The best way to help Dak Prescott is just to run the football. If they have an inability, if all of a sudden you see a trend of them not being able to stop the run, if Cleveland just loaded up and said, you're not good enough to stop us, and other teams, I need to go back and watch like Pittsburgh. I think they played Pittsburgh in Carolina. You said they I guess when the break you were saying that the only one of the first wins they had was Carolina. I'm interested to see these teams that ran the ball or can run the ball, and were they able to run the ball? Mm-hmm. Because if that's the case, that's a huge, huge advantage for the Cowboys right there.
Now, I know they fell behind going into the fourth quarter last year.
And had to throw.
Did they run the ball? Alfred Morris?
I have no idea.
Well, don't you have it?
He ran pretty well.
11 for 53.
Yeah, I think it started off. I think it started off pretty well for him, and then all of a sudden they had to start throwing the ball.
Yeah, I want to say
5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
I want to say that game was such a infamous game. I want to say it was like 10-7 at halftime.
It was.
They were hanging in there, and defensively in that 3-game stretch that they lost badly, starting with that game, it was the second half they just broke down and couldn't get off the field. no Sean Lee. I think he went out in the first quarter of that Atlanta game.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, Leighton Vander Esch, and Jalen Smith's a different player than he was last year by far. And Leighton Vander Esch is a big-time young player on this team. He's playing not like a rookie. The way he played, it's not perfect, but they don't miss Sean as much as they did last season. So I think going into this matchup, because they're going to be challenged in the secondary. This is a really good core, not just Julio Jones, but I think they definitely feel better about their linebacking core now than they did this time a year ago.
Would you? They won't do it, but would you guys travel Byron Jones with Julio Jones in this game? Now we've seen the last time. Julio Jones had a great game here at AT&T one time, where but that was Brandon Whedon playing quarterback. Dallas got a big lead and then kind of evaporated.
What'd they do last year with Julio? I can't remember.
I don't think they traveled with him.
They don't really do that.
Yeah, they don't
past.
travel. But
yeah.
This might be one of those games where you say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try and take him out of the game if I can with Byron Jones. That would be your best option, wouldn't it?
But you know who really hurt him last year was that Hooper guy.
The tight end.
We had never heard of Hooper, and all of a sudden he's...
And they have to. And Steve Sarkisian has to be excited after seeing Zach Ertz get 14 catches the other day.
Hooley had 6 for 57.
Yeah.
So I was trying to see. They only had 1 sack of Ryan, and he threw the ball 30 times. Although I was trying to see what his deal was, and they got a misprint in here. They got a Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
By the way,
oops, Vicky's point just kind of trails off.
I wasn't trying to throw anybody under the bus, but
and Talkin Cowboys.
Nick Chubb had the big game last week, but the week before, Adrian Peterson only had 17 yards on 9 carries against them.
See,
so
yeah, there you go.
So who knows?
You like the way Chubb played in the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm looking forward to seeing did they just overpower him, and it might be to the point of what you guys are talking about, that Washington's offensive line is not clearly running game. Moses is not getting it done anymore, So we'll see.
Yeah,
I think your plan. I think you find the trend here. Are they having certain problems, with certain fronts? I mean, are they having with certain schemes? I mean, is it edge rush, inside rush, people trapping them, people toss sweeping them? What are you doing to these guys? So I think that's where you got to kind of find, give me those 2, 3, 4 plays that you can run that are running plays that you can kind of hang your hat on. What was Cleveland? What was their plan of attack? I'm interested to see that. I really, really am.
The other thing you look at Atlanta, and it's like this with virtually every team in the league. You've got several close losses. They lost in overtime to the Saints, 43-37 in a shootout.
Never got the ball back in that one.
They lost to Cincinnati, 37-36. Joe Mixon, by the way, did not play for Cincinnati in that game. And so you change those 2 games, and they're looking at a 6-3 team instead of a 4-5 team.
Yeah, don't lose to Houston, Washington. You're looking at a different thing here,
right,
too.
Exactly. I mean, you can do that with about every team
Yeah.
in the league. One thing we haven't had an opportunity to talk about on Talking Cowboys that happened after our show on Friday. Dez Bryant goes down for the season, lost for the season with the torn Achilles. You hate to see that for Dez.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that it would be a great fit for him to go to New Orleans, that they could use him like they did Marcus Colston. And I think clearly that was going to be the plan. They were going to have a few things for him to do, work the middle of the field, big body guy, make some good plays in the middle of the field. That's what he's very comfortable doing. But these injuries and stuff. I mean, it's that type of injury. I was worried about him in the hamstring because that had got him before. I was worried, and then all of a sudden you get the news of Achilles, and you're going, okay, well that's pretty much game over right there.
That is a great example of why you have training camp and why you have when a guy comes. We don't know, and the Saints didn't know how much work Dez had actually done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dez may think he's done enough work to be ready to go right into a practice, and I don't know exactly how it happened in practice, but I assume they put him right into full speed drills. And
it was supposed to be the last play of practice or near the end of practice.
But regardless, that is what the Cowboys get a new player, and they will, and other teams will do the same thing. You don't throw them right in, and you have to. There's value
except if you're Amari Cooper.
Yeah, but at least
the difference is he's been with a team.
No,
I'm talking about
Yeah.
when a player has not been in training camp, has not been in the off-season program, has not been with a team throughout the season, he's starting over. And basically, the Saints needed to go into that with the idea that he needs 3 weeks of training camp before he can play in a game, you know? And
well, he was probably not going to play against Cincinnati. But then you got the Eagles coming up, the next week. Maybe
the other thing is Dez has not been known, and my people tell me that he's not been known as a weight room guy.
Sure.
And so,
that's the first thing I thought of was the time he'd missed, and then you have that kind of injury. It can happen to anybody. I mean, it can happen at any time, especially as you get older. I just hope he's able to resume his career somewhere. He'll be 31 next year, I think. Right. And that's a tough injury. I mean, that's probably a year-long recovery process, and then you're kind of starting from scratch again. So I hope he doesn't go out like this and he's able to make a full recovery and resume his career.
Did the injury happen on Friday or Thursday? It was Friday?
Friday.
So that's not even a hard practice.
Well, we don't know how
we don't know how they practice. But I'm
practice.
sure he's not wearing them out on Friday.
Well, and he may have been doing stuff on his own.
It might have just been
fatigue,
fatigue, like legs get fatigued, your foot gets fatigued, and yeah, that's a tough one to come back at that age.
Yep. So anyway, and by the way, and Sean Payton says he wants to give him an opportunity with the Saints next year.
He said that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but you hate to see that for Dez. Now, I guess the one good thing is it was not a lot of money. His base was $600,000, but he does have that coming.
It looked like it was worked out perfect for him. You know,
right. And he was going to be back on the market in March and be able to get big money, and now he's not going to be able to get that.
It's tough.
It's going to be an incentive-laden deal if he decides to even continue playing. We don't know where he is.
This is just going to be my gut right now, since we get paid to do this. I think that Dez Bryant is done. I think he's done. I think that Dez Bryant, just it's a very difficult injury, like you guys were talking about. He's an older guy. He makes a living with his feet, his legs, and stuff like that. I mean, a younger guy, you rehab, you try and get back, but Dez Bryant's had a remarkable career, and he's also got, from hearing from people, he's got other interests outside of football now. He's seeing things, some business opportunities. I'm not just talking about opening a bar or taking all your money, getting taken in a restaurant business or some garbage like that. I'm talking about real legitimate businesses and stuff like that he's got ideas for. So I think that we've seen the last of Dez Bryant. I really, really do. I just think it's going to be very difficult for him to come back to fully commit himself to rehabbing. Think about the rehabbing he had to do here. Yeah. I always heard whispers about Dez as, well, if he would just do this, if he would just do this, if he just, Dez is one of those guys, just let me go play. Let me just show up and play, And so this is going to be one of those things where once it's repaired and all that, and him having to, I just don't see him being as diligent doing what he needs to do to come back.
It just comes down to
I hope he proves me wrong, but that's just me.
Me too. It just comes down to his own motivation. Does he really want to go out like this? And maybe that spurs him on to make a comeback. We'll find out.
The thing that he could take away from this is, in my opinion, the best team in the league gave him a job. That's where he can. It's not like the Raiders offered him a job. He got a job. I mean, the best team in the National Football League, in my opinion, gave him an opportunity to come to work. And he could take that and say, you know what, that's good. In my mind, you know what, somebody wanted me. But also there's a side of him that I believe that he loves this Dallas Cowboy team so much that the fact that he didn't really get a shot with the Saints probably is in his heart, probably saying, you know what, I'll always be a Cowboy. I didn't have to put on a Saint, It sounds crazy, but it
would have been weird to see him in that uniform.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's got a lot of things that, he waited, the right opportunity came, and, maybe this is the way of saying, you know what, maybe I need to move on and do something else.
I wonder if you're him, would you do the surgery there, or would you come back and have a doctor that you were familiar with do the surgery?
Oh,
because you don't have to have their guy do it,
No, you
right?
don't. A lot of
he
guys
could come back
don't,
and have Dr. Cooper do it, and he knows Cooper, and he knows that he's had successful Achilles repairs. Go ask
Greg Ellis.
Go ask Tyrone Crawford.
Go ask Barry Church.
Yeah. So I wonder what he does.
There's this side of me that believes that he's at peace with himself now.
Well, and you brought up too. I mean, Greg was 30-ish when he had that.
Yeah.
And he came back, I think, made a Pro Bowl, but wide receiver, different
It's
position.
a different position.
It's tough. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and pass rusher has to push off, and once that happens to you one time, you have in your mind you're always going to have that.
Well, I asked Tyrone Crawford.
Yeah.
Remember when he went down in training camp and thought he tore it again?
Yeah, that's not good.
And it wasn't. Yeah. And Kevin Smith, when he tore his, he was never
was
quite
never the same. Never the same.
cornerback, and Achilles and backpedaling is pretty important.
Yeah.
Think that running back's going to show up in Pittsburgh?
No, I don't.
Doesn't sound like it.
And and everybody could say, "Did you have a good day?" And I don't know if he necessarily has a good day. I don't know if leaving $14 million on the table, I think I understand principle and fighting for your beliefs and all that, but he's going to have to make $42 million basically next year to make up for the money he lost this year.
And
that's tough. Hey, even our guy out in the great Pacific Northwest came back. He said, "Okay, you guys are making me mad here, but what did he do? He showed up and played."
But my accountant's more pissed at me.
Yeah, but the older you get, and especially a position he plays where everybody will say, "Well, he's a year fresher. He's going to be," but he's also a year older.
And they can keep his rights next year again.
Right. $25 million, though. He's going to get the quarterback tag if that's – no, I think that's right. I think that's automatically the tag that he gets if they do it 3 times in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Transition tag, what happens there with the if they use the transition tag, then he can go out to another team, get an offer, and they can match.
I think I'm right about that because there was some talk that they were thinking that it was just going to be the transition tag. But I think if they franchise him a third time, it's automatically.
But does the second franchise count since he didn't sign it?
Oh no, it does.
It does.
It does.
It
Yeah.
doesn't count as
an accrued season.
It doesn't count as an accrued season.
I'm almost positive about that.
All right.
I'm almost positive. I shouldn't be talking.
I mean, that's why I asked, because I don't know.
Yeah, I might be wrong about that. I'm sure that somebody's listening to our great program and is saying right now on Twitter that Broadus, you're an idiot. No, it doesn't count and all that. But I thought that they were thinking that it was going to be a $25 million tag is what they were going to do.
Well, they found a guy that runs it pretty well up there, too, to replace him.
Yep, James Conner doing a good job. He's in concussion protocol right now. Yeah. The other little item, or couple, the Eagles' Ronald Darby is done for the year, a ACL, and the Rams lose wide receiver Cooper Kupp to a torn ACL.
That's big for the Rams. That kid right there is a hell of a football player. If you listen to the draft show, you knew a little bit about that guy that played on that red turf.
He is a favorite of the draft show.
He was. He was a favorite of the draft show, and
So what does that do to them?
Switzer, Brian.
What's that?
He got picked way before Switzer, right?
Third round.
Yeah, I believe
he was
so.
third round.
Yeah.
Switzer was fourth.
Yeah, I believe
Barely.
so. Yeah. So Cooper Kupp is a tremendous player. What does that do to the Rams? Boy, I'll tell you what, though. That's trying to think of who all they've got. Was it the Sammy Watkins kind of a no, it's
Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds,
the guy that
and then on my guy
up.
from New England, the Saints, New England, the wide receiver that gets traded, Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. So out there. So we'll see.
Still got Todd Gurley.
Yeah. Still got Todd Gurley. Absolutely.
When did Reynolds get picked? It was like third or
fourth round, something like that.
Rams didn't have a lot of picks.
I didn't understand why he lasted so long.
Yeah.
He was awfully good, wasn't he?
He was.
A&M.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
that's why, because he went to
Well,
A&M.
people talked about Christian Kirk there a bunch. That was kind of
he was fourth round. Josh Reynolds was.
Yeah, it was kind of Christian Kirk was the and
he was the guy that was really good there.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk.
But Reynolds had a pretty good career with what did I remember? I remember writing a story about him from the Senior Bowl. like yards per catch or something. I thought he set an A&M record or something like that.
He was a deep ball guy.
Yeah.
They just threw it down the field 40 yards, and he went in and got it.
It's a pretty high-powered offense that he played in.
A very poor man's Mike Evans.
At A&M.
Yeah, absolutely.
High-powered.
Gig 'em.
All right, that does it for Talking Cowboys for this Tuesday, and we'll turn our attention fully towards the Falcons as the week
Look forward to
continues
catching them
here.
up. Yeah.
All right.
And thanks to everybody that got our mics working.
Yes.
Thanks, Kent.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!